you made some financial bad decisions. At one point had 3 Lamborghinis and had insurance on them, but didn't have insurance on you. Which kind of goes along with what we were talking about a minute ago, valuing yourself.
Right.
What have you learned about handling money that you didn't know then?
Well, then, you know, I think if I could have got the Lamborghinis off the lot without insurance, I wouldn't have had insurance on them either.
Why?
Because, you know, you living for the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't, you know, you just wanted these things because you wanted them at the time. But then when you start thinking about like insurance, I know that's what I'm saying back then, but it's back then. Yeah, so back then it was almost like, I didn't know nobody in my family had life insurance or medical insurance like that. Like we just wasn't brought up like that. My dad had it because he was in the service, but once we went back to the hood, it was kind of like, you was kind of like on your own. So that wasn't the thing coming into it. But as I got older, and I started to realize that health is real, like, cause it is real. I just did a thing the other day for some more insurance, and they was asking me all these questions, and I'm like, nope. And she was just like, you're so healthy, and they just hit me. I'm like, wow, I'm healthy. That's crazy. Like I'm taking care of myself, you know, for a change. But to answer your question, like what I learned on the financial level is, you definitely, like, you're gonna need money until forever, and your kids are gonna need it and things like this. I stopped looking for validation for outside things. Like I don't buy things because I want to impress other people. I'm more of an experienced person. Like if I want to go on a trip or do something, take my family somewhere, because I want them to experience this, and I know what this is gonna do for them when they're, you know, 25, 30 years old. They've been to France and they've been to these places and that places, because that's the experience I got from my father. Then I'll do that. And I'm also a minimalist. Like I would think so too. It's like I have things that I'm into, like art, you know, wine, watches and stuff like that, and cigars, but I'm not like gonna go out here and buy 30 sports cars to prove a point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go buy, you know, a bunch of stuff that I don't need. And as far as like money and managing money, it's just like I, you know, strive for financial freedom and to be in a place where like I don't really have to do anything if I don't ever want to do anything, and I'm set, you know, and I could just live my life and go live where I want to live, whether that's abroad or that's here, that's there. And I think to get to that is just you got to make sacrifices now. So for later on in life, you don't have to work as hard and do as much because you're already set up for that. And that takes like understanding like how money works and the type of people you got to bring around. It ain't what you make, it's what you save. And it's like you got to figure out how to, you know, get your tax breaks, and because as you're scaling, it's so like the laws change so much. So the best thing you do is have great financial people on your team so they can help you navigate through that. But that's
you have
another
a trust?
Do I? Yes.
You have a trust?
Yes, I have a trust, yeah.
Good.
And it's like, as you're navigating these things, you know, things come up where, you know, you might not understand something, but instant gratification is what gets you. Because you want to spend money right now to look a certain way right now. And I don't want to, you know, I tell people it's like,
they call it shopping therapy.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go for a walk.
Right.
At least I'm going to have my money when I get there. But I tell people that, you know, it starts with you though, like, because once you trust in yourself, once you know who you are as an individual and what, because there's a difference between wants and needs. You know what I'm saying? Like you may want something, but you may not need it. You know what I'm saying? Or you may want a bigger house, but like just really think about it. You know, you're only in 2 rooms. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You may, you know, there was a time I went to my garage and it was like so many cars. They really have to charge the battery on this one, dude. Like I don't want to deal with all that. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to live a life to where, and it's crazy because I sold all the cars and bought the lot next door.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was just like, if they sitting here, we might as well just get that.
Yeah.
But it's just like making those type of decisions because, again, you know, not pulling the arrow back. I've been in poverty, and you can't help nobody when you're doing bad as well.
Right.
Right. And then I've been in a state of abundance, but abundance only lasts so long when you're being irresponsible with things, right?
Right.
And then it's just like, I want to be creative and I want to try things. In order to take these risks, I need cushion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I need to know that if I go out here and just get caught up in this passion project that I want to do that could change the world or not, that I'm not going to break the bank, you know, just going after something that my spirit is telling me I'm going after. And then the last thing I would say is, like, really taking the time to read, like, a lot of, like, you know, just entrepreneurial books and financial books. It really helps because you're not going to get everything you need out of it, but you become rehearse with the phrases and how things are said and what things are. So when your accountants and these money people are running this stuff by you, they're not just throwing this stuff over your head. Cause you know, they'll get you too.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So at least you got an understanding of it, and then having other brothers that you can actually sit down and talk to and go, hey, look, I had a conversation about this. What do you think about that? And they might say, oh no, that's legitimate. But look, why don't you talk to this person so they can give you a better insight? And I would think the best lesson I can say is stay curious.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Stay curious.
Right.
Ask those questions.
Right. That's good advice. That's good advice on a whole lot of front. The Lamborghinis are depreciating asset.
Oh my God,
the real estate is an appreciating asset.
Yeah.
You're not really wealthy until your money's making money.
Money for you.
Not when you're making money, but when your money is making money.
Yep.
And so that drives us toward appreciating assets, which is very, very important. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's important that we share what we know with each other is because we can never reproduce another generation of successful people if we don't talk to each other.
That part.
So that cross-pollination is really good. I'm glad you're coming into your own and you're no longer having to prove to anybody what is already obvious to you.
Yeah.
And that's coming closer to loving you.
Yeah.
And that's where the Bible says love your neighbors, you love yourself, but if you don't love you, you can't love anybody else. So you got to learn how to love you.
That goes with relationships too.
Yeah. We can shout off of that. Chapter number 3, addiction and death. You know, you were talking earlier about your mother and the hardships that you had and how your relationship developed over time. And I applaud the fact that you stuck to it till you worked it out.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they run into a hardship, they throw you away. They just walk away. But you hung in there and worked it out. I understand that she had some kind of a drug addiction problem that you had to work through. How much of the fight was a result of her not being herself and dealing with drugs?
Well, I think she was on drugs when I was a lot younger, and which means we crossed paths like in the street sometimes. But she was still my mother, so I had respect for her. But this is the thing, like when you say drugs, you know, in the era I came up in, you know, the drugs that people were doing would be like cannabis today.